Welcome back to another issue. I'm Beastie Boy,
I'm Table.
I'm Red.
And it is I, Shino Brando.
and for today we'll be discussing the top 4 Robins from the DC Universe and who we think wears it best.
So, Red, tell us, what is and who is the Boy Wonder and why they are forever human targets?
So let's break that down first.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody know where Robin comes from?
I do.
Go on.
I'll say as a bird.
Robin comes from
Mhm.
when Bob Kane and Bill Finger were creating a sidekick for Batman initially, who would eventually become Dick Grayson because
Right.
they're both dudes in the 1940s and they think dicks are funny. They took inspiration.
Are you going to say they're
from-
wrong?
In 2020, dicks are still funny. Go on.
Fair. They took the Robin Hood analogy and
Mhm.
they made reference to the red-breasted Robin because they're both flying animals. So the first Robin we're going to start off with is the first Robin, Dick Grayson. His first appearance as Robin was in Detective Comics number 38 in April 1940. He's an old boy. As Nightwing, he appears first in Tales of the Teen Titans number 44 in July 1984. That is the issue that I own. He was born and raised in Haley's Circus. Boz Zuko, a mob boss, shows up to Haley's Circus and demands that Haley and his circus pay him some extortion money. Haley's Circus says no, and an accident happens to both of Dick Grayson's parents,
Hmm.
Mary Lloyd Grayson and John Grayson. They die from this trapeze incident. In the audience is Bruce Wayne, and from that point on, they become the dynamic duo of Batman and Robin. In one
It's quite the
con-
story.
in the other continuity, Dick would go into Child Protective Services a few times, and it would be not until he's 16 years old until Batman takes him under his wing. The trapeze, unfortunately, because times have changed, was once just the act that they were performing. That's just what it was called. But many sources would call it an actual just high wire act. So instead of like swinging back and forth and catching each other on those bars that swing, it's more of
Yeah.
the walk across the tightrope.
Not less impressive, but
Still pretty impressive, man. Fucking
Yeah.
dangerous.
Right? So depending on continuity, he's either 12 or 16 when Batman takes him on.
Okay.
and it was a whole Flying Graysons thing that they did it without a net. So like,
Yeah, because,
Mm.
Dangerous. Let's get dangerous or something.
ooh.
Right.
So how long do we think Dick was trained before he became Robin?
It really depends because in the original continuity where he's a little boy, he would presumably be taken on pretty fast just on account of Bruce started training him to do that because otherwise he was breaking out in the middle of the night to go track Zuko down himself.
Right.
So it was like, okay, we gotta get going on this quickly. But realistically, he probably didn't train for more than a year or two.
I would say, yeah, within a few months, because from what I've seen,
A few months if we're going the like later timeline for sure.
Yeah, because like from what I remember is like the wanting to bring Zuko in, and then like Bruce trained that early as he could, and like Dick was out there right away, almost I want to say almost within the same year.
6 months he was
Yeah.
trained and then became Robin. So Dick could only be Robin after he passed the Gauntlet, which takes place in Legends of the Dark Knight number 100. This
Okay.
is a trial putting him against the Bat, eluding him for one full night, sundown to sunup, no help. And I believe he gets a little bit of a head start and run, bitch.
He sure does.
Dick succeeds, and in the same night brings down a gangster from Boz Zuko from the beginning. Batman swears him as Robin in Dark Victory, The Oath.
He does it with a whole like book and candle. It's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, it's a full cult. If anybody says Batman's not a cult, it's a full-on cult.
Hence why it's
It was
called
real weird.
the Bat Family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They all took a
Mm.
blood oath or something. In 1964,
Mhm.
Brave and the Bold, number 54, the Justice League of America was first, unionized, first put together. Robin would team up with some other sidekicks. Anybody got a guess on the original team on the Titans? This would be the first incarnation.
Yeah, I recall
I'm thinking of the-
Speedy, Aqualad, and I want to say Wonder Girl and Robin.
Sounds right-ish. Yeah.
It's almost right. There's only 3. The
Okay.
original stack of the Teen Titans was just Robin, Aqualad the first, Garth, and Kid Flash. They stopped with Mr.
Ah.
Twister.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
After that, they joined forces with Speedy and Wonder Girl.
Okay.
So they had one initial story. So that's the original 5 members of the Teen Titans.
Not a lineup to scoff at, by the way.
No, not
Right?
an easy lineup to even. Yeah, you're right, man. That's a pretty stacked team for what, 5 teens?
Right?
Yeah, that's
A whole bunch of sidekicks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're direct hand-me-downs of the the ones above them, right? Like these are the first the alphas of
Yeah,
the
and
whole the whole
Speedy,
idea.
for those who don't know, is Red Arrow.
Yeah.
So
Gets
they teamed up
clone.
with Speedy and Wonder Girl initially to get the Justice League of America out of mind control.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did they beat them in their first incarnation, they also wiped them from mind control.
Pretty impressive for 5 children.
Right? That literally just met.
Yeah.
just run, kids. Fucking go.
I guess your one-ups, the Batman, the Flash, Superman, such and such, right? Like these are no jokes.
No.
They were first
5 kids.
called the Teen Titans in issue number 60. So 6 issues later. So they were just a group of teens hanging out, chumming about,
Mhm.
and then suddenly, now we're Teen Titans. They don't get
Okay.
name dropped for another 6 issues. This is the short-lived first version of the Teen Titans.
Mhm.
Sometime later, a mysterious dark-haired girl calls to Dick in his sleep, and they would put together more proteges. And anybody know that team?
That's the more traditional Teen Titans lineup.
It sure is. Anybody?
Right. I want to say, would that be Donna?
Yep.
That Donna and Starfire. I want to say Raven. I guess they're the traditional ones you see on TV, like Beast Boy and all that, right?
Yep. It would be Raven, Robin, Dick Grayson, Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash.
Yeah, the more modernized.
More easily
Albeit-
recognized.
Yeah, that too.
With or without Wonder Girl.
Or Superboy in any capacity.
Wow. Superboy doesn't come around for another. It's
Yeah.
Too many. Too many.
Superboy is only on the Teen Titans when his friends also join the team. Come on.
True.
Yep.
True.
When Robin was 17, he was
Mhm.
shot in the shoulder by the Joker. This scarred Robin into ending his career.
Which is funny because he got like the absolute crap kicked out of him by Two-Face, and that just
Yeah.
made him be more into the whole thing. And he was like debatably 12 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this scarring, he would occasionally show up late to missions with Batman. And so in Nightwing Year 1, Dick feels he is outgrown, and Bruce Wayne fires him from the role. Now, depending on what continuity you want to speak of, before or after Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Yeah.
there are 2 origins to his next incarnation. One is that he was working with the Teen Titans, and he wanted to just take on the he felt he was too old for Robin, and there
Mhm.
was Tara, and it was the Judas contract,
Big run. Good story.
right? And that's the first appearance. That's what I own. That's what's in my closet. However, there's a way he got the name of Nightwing. In pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths, Jimmy Olsen and Superman were stuck in the bottled city of Kandor,
Mhm.
and because Superman was a fugitive at the time inside of Kandor, they had to adopt new identities. Jimmy Olsen took on Flamebird, and Superman took on Nightwing. Nightwing and Flamebird would eventually team up with Batman and Robin, and in homage to this meetup, that's where Dick Grayson initially took the name. However, because that's freaking ridiculous
Yeah. Yeah.
and deals with Flamebird, because nobody likes that person right now, the newest incarnation is after being fired in Robin Year 1, Dick goes to seek whose guidance?
Superman.
He would go
Okay.
seek out the Man of Steel's guidance.
Right on.
Clark would tell him the tale of the Kryptonian hero, whose name was unknown to those on Krypton,
Right.
many ages before, like this was a childhood story to Kal-El,
Okay.
and would tell him about the Kryptonian hero Nightwing. And when he finishes the tale, Dick takes it upon himself to pay homage to both his original mentor, because it's
Mhm.
still a flying thing, and his other mentor, the Man of Steel, as calling himself Nightwing. Unfortunately, because Dick Grayson didn't spend very long as Robin and has had more stories as Nightwing,
Yeah.
my talk is over. And so we must pass the buck to Robin 2.
Beastie.
I think that's you, man.
It'll be the next boy, the best boy in my opinion. But the next guy is Jason Todd, or AKA Red Hood, where he first appears in Batman issue 357,
Right.
which was in 1983. It was also created by Gary Conway and Don Newton around that time. He became second Robin, and when the previous Robin, Dick Grayson, went on to star in the new Teen Titans, he then took, obviously, the mantle that we know of is Nightwing. From when we first find him, or when we're first introduced to Jason. In the 1980 era, we find out that basically Jason Todd has like the same origin as like Dick Grayson. His family is like basically a circus or a group of acrobats as well. And
He's a Dick clone.
in a sense, yes.
Yeah.
He's a clone of Willie.
Yes, and essentially they had basically the same origin of stories. The only difference, I believe, was that the criminal that killed his family was Killer Croc. But again, just like Dick Grayson, he was later adopted by Bruce Wayne. So like
how they meet?
Well, how they met was like in an alleyway. I believe Batman had basically had his Batmobile just waiting around, and Jason had come across the vehicle and was trying to steal the tires.
Which he
Absolute mad lad.
Yeah, which he was almost successful until someone caught him.
Which was Batman himself.
Someone with the pointy cowl.
Big ears.
And a
Here's
hole.
all crime.
Yes.
He's got empty nest syndrome.
Oh man. But yeah, so from there, Batman just sees Jason and it's like, man, you could use this a lot better, instead of just, not being a hoodlum on the street and all that stuff.
You mean Bruce is like I can weaponize another child?
Yes, baby. Hey, we don't have to be too honest, but we can be honest.
Okay, go ahead.
It worked for one. Let's work for two.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was just going to say, he adopted a child and then he was like, well, what now? I guess you should come fight crime with me?
Mm-hmm. Well, basically, he's just like, well, I guess I'll take you in.
Would you two
If you wanna.
you two like to harm people? Come with me.
You have anger issues as well? Come along. I got some stuff for you.
You've got dead parents? I've got dead parents.
Oh, but that was the real tragedy of Jason Todd.
Wow, just bringing the dead parents. Yeah, so regard to Jason's parents, they're obviously killed off from Killer Croc, obviously in the same kind of sort of fashion of like Dick Grayson's parents, just like
Did they get nom-nom-nommed?
let's just say they got, yes, they became a meal real quick.
Ooh.
Which was, the sad part.
They became more of a snack than Dick Grayson's booty?
11 herbs and spices.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
But you're not wrong. But yes, Jason was kind of like, left alone, kind of like homeless in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, like he had a faithful encounter with the one and the only Batman as we know him.
And what was he doing to be in this encounter?
Well, let's just say the boy was trying to steal some tires. Trying to be, hey, let's make some easy money.
But off of what car?
The Batmobile, my guy.
This
Oh,
child.
shit.
Error.
Yes.
This child.
He did not know what he was doing. But then, as Batman saw him, he kind of came up to him and be like, "Hey, we could do better."
What are you doing?
Like,
Dude, why is this your life?
yeah.
Are you orphan too?
Yeah.
I am
You
orphan.
orphan?
Have you lost parents? I've lost parents too. You have anger issues? My guy, let's talk.
Weaponize this child.
Let me
Yes.
take you back to my cave. And that child looked at him and went, huh?
Nani? What was that?
Then he
Batman?
saw an old British man there and went, oh, okay, it's probably okay.
Oh,
It should be fine.
Master Bruce, another one.
Yeah.
How
Oh, we're
lovely.
doing this again?
Oh, jeez.
Is this a hobby now?
Yeah. Is this become regular for you? But yeah,
Uh-huh,
no.
Yes.
Just you wait, Alfred.
Joke's on you, Alfred. I'm being serious.
But yeah, so obviously Batman took him under his wing. And then, was able to he was obviously like troubled from first encounter and all that stuff, but he was enthusiastic while being trained under him. At the same time, though, he was a bit brash and impulsive through the training and all that stuff, thinking he was like kind of like one of the best, or like he was a big tough guy kind of situation.
Also wholesome and excited about going to a real school, though.
But also just en masse anger issues.
Yes.
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot,
but like,
a lot.
Like more than a normal child should have
Yeah.
at his age.
And why was that?
Well, he did his
You're up in a
parents
shitty
got
situation.
yeah, and his parents were killed like recently. So you hate to see it, but yeah. So obviously from there, going through training and just like obviously doing missions with Batman kind of stuff. There was a mission per se that Jason was kind of getting a bit ahead of himself and wanted to, how do you put it? Try to be a bit more aggressive than the Batman usually is. Try to hurt these criminals in more than a kind of one and done situation.
Oh, in a not so polite way.
No.
Oh, like not just dropping him off a building, like just be shived in.
That and almost dropping them off a building, but yeah.
Okay.
There was actually a whole specific incident in which someone fell off a building, and it was a whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Batman was like, "Hey, boy, we don't do that here.
We're gonna bench you for a little while, and you need to think about it." And Jason got really upset about it, and that kicked off
Yeah.
These sad times.
Yeah. The dark
Exactly.
times.
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight times.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, following after that, there then comes, I guess, another situation of where Jason is able to, or somehow re-meets his mom.
Right. But hold on. Before we get to that tragedy there, right? This is Bruce's second son. So how did the first one take to him?
Not so kindly.
The older sibling, how did he feel?
It's more of a, you want to be Robin? I guess you can be Robin.
He was initially real peeved
You
about
found,
it, though.
you found out who I was, you found out who he was, and I'm over here leading a Titans group.
I got other things
It's
to
not
take
that
care of.
I don't care what you do,
But also, like,
but don't wear my costume. And then he did. So me and my 10-foot descendant of cat orange-haired girlfriend are going to go over here, and you go be Batman's friend over there.
Okay.
yeah, because didn't the one time Jason went on a Titans mission end with him going to like an alternate reality and taking on the name of Red Robin for a brief period of time because complicated reasons?
Because comics are dumb, sure.
Because DC
Yeah, pretty
Comics
much.
reasons? I understand.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think there was someone else being Robin in that universe or something.
There definitely
Well-
wasn't a girl Robin, that's for sure.
Well,
Anyway.
now that we know, now that we know how that went down, okay.
Mhm.
So let's follow through with the next act. So he meets his mom.
Yeah, so, and then after following that situation, he then meets his, surprisingly alive mother out of a situation. And what had happened is that they were, I guess, brought together and trying to like reunite all that stuff. But the sad part was there was an evil plan behind this situation, which involved the very notorious Joker. Yes.
Mhm.
The laughing clown himself. And so from there following suit, he basically was like, "Hey, this is your mom, right? That's your mom? She looks very nice." And then just, was like, "Hey,
That's
so
what she owes me a favor.
exactly." And hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna murder you.
I'm gonna
Violently.
You're gonna beat your shit.
Yeah, you're gonna get knocked up so bad, fam. The mom, like, I guess was, if I remember, was tied up or
Yeah, I have that run, Death in the Family. So she's
Mhm.
employed by this guy, Joker, right? And
this lady named Sheila, by the way.
yeah,
Sheila
and-
Haywood.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he was gonna out her for her, inclusion.
Mhm.
In order to not do that, he wanted the favor to be done. So set up Jason Todd, which she did, but he didn't give a fuck.
You don't make a deal with
so-
the Joker.
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck. So he not only did he trap her, but he you know what happens. You go on, describe the ordeal that happens next.
Brutal
Well,
crowbar murder.
well, we have, you see, Metal, we have Young Boy Face, and we have Buddy, and put together that we call brutal beatings.
Yes, and that's a hard
Beatings
panel
will
to get
continue until morale improves.
through.
God.
Man, oh man, that's a hard panel to get
Oh.
through.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the thing is for that is like how that came about was that because there was a voting poll.
Yeah, because
Um,
Jason was a little shit at the time, so fans were very divided.
And they were
Well,
like,
also, a writer straight up hated him and wanted him dead and tried to give him AIDS one time.
This is also true.
damn.
At least they didn't change his name to Rick.
We'll get to that.
It's true,
some other
but they did
point.
change his hair color.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
From red, I believe, or reddish.
Yes.
Yeah, red
Yes,
to
yeah.
black.
But yeah, so the whole people voted in, called in, and were like, "Hey, so we kind of want him gone."
He lost.
Kill
He
him,
lost
kill
by
him, kill him.
Yeah, it lost by a 4% margin.
Mm-hmm. It was actually like a crazy gap, but it was like
It was like 52 to 56. Or
yeah,
something
roughly. It was
Yeah.
like the actual number is 5,343 to 5,271.
Yeah.
So
It's like a 54 or 56 kind of average.
And there was that whole like word of mouth story about some fucking lawyer in California with a computer who set up
Oh, yeah, had a
computer to
bot,
call
yeah.
in the line
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
like a bot.
to murder Jason Todd.
Yeah.
And if this is true, he is almost definitely single-handedly responsible for that boy's
Yeah.
death.
Yep.
oh my god. Oh,
Rough.
man.
That's very rough.
Yeah. Sadly though, when obviously Batman came into the scene, he couldn't do much and he found, Jason's body just lifeless
Yeah.
in there. And
Too
it did
late.
yeah, it kind of was scarred from it because that's
Known
like
as his biggest tragedy.
obviously another son, right? Like he was another child,
Mhm.
but he couldn't do anything to take care of it or be there in time to take care of the situation.
Yep.
So
And this was before they died regularly, so
Yeah.
exactly.
Which then, it brings us to a time period where Bruce was pretty much at one of his darkest, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
Murder
had,
Man.
I believe at that point he had stopped taking on the sidekick, refused it,
Mm-hmm.
became more grimdark, And I think this led towards where
With the
Bane,
Joker in a full body cast.
yeah, beat him senseless, right?
Yeah.
This is where, this is leading to Bane, and then the whole breaking the back, and then, Bruce started wearing black, right? The Troika costume, right? Which he's never worn again. Yeah, he never wore it again. But I think that's the time period where we get introduced to the next Robin.
Tim Drake.
There you go.
So Tim, his very first appearance was actually in Batman Year 3, Part 5, I believe? Sorry, Part 1 of 4, in which he is also at Haley's Circus the night the Graysons die.
Right on. Okay.
He was in the audience, a small child, traumatized beyond belief. Then, his first appearance as Robin is in the A Lonely Place of Dying arc,
Very good arc.
spans from Batman 437 to 442. And he then wears the mantle of Robin, gets his own goddamn series after the success of his 1991 5-issue miniseries.
Only Robin to do so, by the way.
I mean,
he's the first Robin to get a solo series under the mantle of Robin. Yep. An important distinction given the topic of today's debate.
Because Nightwing got a title, but it wasn't called Robin.
Yeah,
and he's not called Robin.
And I believe he's the only one to do it.
And he accompanies the Caped Crusader from the ages of, he's 12 in A Lonely Place of Dying, but he spends about a year training because he has little noodle boy arms and has to get better. Which is why, of course, that his thing as Robin is and continues to be outsmarting his opponents, because otherwise he will just get chucked out of windows.
They really played up in the part of the small versus the big, the David and Goliath kind of aspect, which is really
There's a lot of really great panels of him being absolutely tiny next to Batman.
Yeah.
Those should be on screen now, I promise. So he's Robin. He, on the other hand, unlike his predecessors, goes, you know what Gotham gets sometimes? Snow. You know what I would like to not be getting when it snows? Frostbite. And he wears pants. He is the reason all modern incarnations of Robin have pants.
Because nobody likes frozen dick.
That and the whole Robin ninja-esque costume.
Yes, he
starts to take form.
Yeah.
We start to get cooler with it rather than circus. But he keeps the colors until tragedy strikes much later. So this poor boy comes in without much of a superhero backstory because all he did was he was a kid with a camera who stalked Batman and Robin through the streets of Gotham in the middle of the night, which I am very surprised he didn't die horribly, honestly.
Yeah, Batman didn't just turn around and throw something at this kid.
Because on account, I realize I'm doing this very non-linearly. Apologies.
Yeah.
On account of him being at the Graysons' death and being at that act, he remembers something very interesting, which is to say that Dick can perform a quadruple flip.
Right.
Something that only 4 people in the world can do.
That's correct.
And what do you know it? One day on the news, he sees Robin perform a quadruple flip. And there is only one person in the entire world who can fit that profile. So he figures out who Batman and Robin are on account of a flip that he saw when he was 5.
Detective skills on high.
Which
intelligence en masse.
He is a clever little boy. And he's 8 or 9, depending on continuity stuff, because Tim Drake's age gets screwed once he's eternally 17. But that's again down the line. At which point he begins stalking them at night. And he does that for about 3 to 4 years. So just a 9 to 12-year-old on the streets of Gotham alone at night with an expensive camera. How is this boy alive?
Right?
How does that dude not get mugged? And I've been mugged 4 or 5 times.
Get mugged immediately or fallen off a roof. But he made it. Somehow, some way, he succeeded in not only doing this, but never getting caught.
Right.
So good job, child.
Stealth skills on high.
But because he's been following them, because he's been watching and idolizing them, after Jason Todd's death, he notices the change in Bruce's behavior.
Yeah.
He goes, wow, Batman is really violent all of a sudden.
Sure has become a psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
Sure is just beating the shit out of people in the middle of the night while dressed as a furry.
Stop.
And he realizes that something needs to change. So he goes to Dick Grayson. He tracks this guy down. Again, at 12. He goes to, I believe it's New York to do this.
Yes, he does.
He goes to New York and then to Haley's Circus, which is where Dick is at the time. And he goes, hey, I know you're Robin, and you need to come back to do that. And Dick goes, who the fuck are you?
Exactly.
A, who are you? B, why?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And once Tim's like, well, you don't worry about it. I'm just someone who knows you need to come back to Gotham and be Robin again. And Dick's like, I absolutely will not be doing that.
Yeah.
I might come back as Nightwing, but not as Robin.
Yeah.
And Tim goes, frowny face, and leaves.
I'm still here with my cat girlfriend. Nightwing's still here with his cat, 10-foot tall cat descendant girlfriend.
So he's doing that. And Tim goes, that's not good enough. He needs a Robin, because as far as Tim is concerned, he's got this whole conception of the role of Robin as a partner, as a symbol of hope in the night, as a reason to not beat the shit out of people and rather just arrest them. You know.
Keep Batman from going on the brink.
Yeah. To tie Batman back to the good in the world,
this man.
not just the violence.
Yeah, the anchor him the right way.
He returns to Wayne Manor and goes, hi, I know this is the house of Batman and Batman needs a Robin. But alas, currently, Batman is dealing with a Two-Face situation.
Yeah.
And he gets captured. And Nightwing gets captured by Two-Face. And Tim's going, ah shit, what? And Alfred goes, hey, we have a Robin costume in this fancy glass case. You should borrow that and go save them.
Hey, son,
come
check this out.
Just put on a mask, put on a cape, put on some panties and boots and go. So he does. And he saves it somehow. And through this, he proves just enough his worth that Bruce is like, fine, I guess. You can sort of stay as long as you go home at night and you're definitely not my son, I swear.
Right.
Spoilers.
You definitely have
One
parents.
day will be. Yeah.
Which was a crazy concept of a Robin that doesn't live at the manor, a separate being away from the Batman at this point, right? And now has to live that dual identity of student, everyday kid, and Robin at night.
And has parents.
Has parents. Very alive parents for a time.
Because reality, and more importantly, the DC writers, think that it's funny to hurt Tim Drake.
Because it is.
So, he goes on what I like to think of as the trauma conga line.
Man. How wrong did they do him? Go on. Please tell me.
So his mom and dad get kidnapped while on a trip to Haiti. And they're kidnapped by, I'm trying to remember the specific guy. It's something that sounds vaguely racist, but whatever. So they get kidnapped. Mom dies. Dad ends up in a coma. Tim is temporarily staying at the manor because where else is he going to stay? Except that he doesn't even start there. He actually starts off by lying about having an uncle and staying alone in his home by himself for like over a month before Batman notices and is like, hey, that's just an actor. That's not a real adult. And then takes him in. But his dad eventually wakes up from his coma, not before is in a wheelchair, gets a physiotherapist, marries that physiotherapist, and goes back to being a bad dad.
Wow. Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. So he goes back into the same loop of being a bad dad?
He wasn't a particularly good dad before because they're just pretty absentee, which is a feature of the writing to allow for Tim to be doing all of the stuff he has to do.
Doing. Yeah.
So his dad's alive. Cool. Whatever. He loses friends. I believe so Connor dies first.
He sure does.
And Tim changes his costume to honor him. So he drops the green and goes for the full red and black.
My favorite costume for Robin's, by the way.
It looks sick as hell.
It's the best costume ever designed, period.
It looks great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the order here, but I can give you everyone who dies. I'm just trying to make sure it goes right. So Connor dies. I believe Stephanie dies, who he was dating at the time.
Yeah.
She was initially written to have actually died, and they retcon that later, but she dies as Robin, but we're not discussing her in this overarching thing because she was only Robin for 6 months IRL, and that's just not enough content.
And
6 panels, that's about it.
And Bruce pretty much used her just to
to be salty about Tim being gone.
Yeah, just to make someone jealous. Go on.
So she dies. Bart Allen, his other best friend, also dies, and then comes back as an adult, and then dies as that adult.
Damn. They really did Bart like that, man?
Yeah, really did Bart like that, man.
Jesus Christ.
It was dirty.
Wow, man. All right.
His dad finally dies, murdered by Captain Boomerang. Prick.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
That's a better ending than Killer Croc, that's for sure.
Whoa.
I mean, I guess. Yeah. Boomerang to the chest is a little humiliating, though.
Yeah, at least you don't die, feel every tooth crunching into your bone.
I'd rather
slowly die.
And remembered by being killed by a guy named Killer Croc than Captain Boomerang.
Murdered by a pointy boomerang in your own kitchen, not a good look.
No, probably not. Rather get clawed than, just some Aussie dude just boom, and then,
Crikey.
Oh, look at that
That's
dead
not a
mate.
knife.
Tim was sure traumatized about it, and he got one of the few Bruce hugs he ever gets.
This is true.
Then he ends up having to work with Captain Boomerang's son, Dodge, for a little while.
Okay.
Because Dodge has a teleportation belt and also like a lot of hero worship and keeps trying to turn up places. And Tim goes, look, this isn't a game. Can you fuck off? And he's like, but I'm here to help. And then Robin accidentally hits his teleportation belt with a throwing object during a fight, and it puts Dodge in a coma and makes him glowy and red. And Tim feels really bad about it, to the point where like he straight up has a conversation about feeling suicidal with a civilian on a rooftop.
Goddamn.
Whoa, it's like the first Robin with feelings.
They don't just do the thing of he's a hero. Suffering makes him stronger. They explore his trauma. And it's Robin 156 where that happens.
And boy, does he have trauma.
But that's not the end of Dodge, because Dodge wakes up from his coma and is angry. Big angry. So he gets together a team of like minor troublemakers to try and mess with Robin and teach him a lesson, except one of them tries to kill him, and Dodge is like, whoa, we don't do that here. But it just devolves into a whole thing that ends with Dodge's death, and Tim feels super guilty about it. And then Cassandra Cain, she sort of dies, gets Lazarus Pit resurrected, and becomes evil and crazy.
I mean, who does it nowadays?
I know, but becomes evil and crazy, and they were actually like sibling level close. So when she's like, hey, I'm gonna take over the League of Assassins, do you want to come help? And Tim is like, I absolutely do not want to do that.
Under no circumstance do I want to go do exactly those things in that order.
So she leaves and he's abandoned. And then to end this trauma conga line, do you want to guess who dies next? Batman. His Batman dies.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Final crisis. Here we are.
And then he gets fired. And not even like fired to his face. He comes downstairs and there's fucking Damian Wayne wearing a Robin costume.
Interesting.
Which is a brutal way to do it. Dick doesn't even look him in the eyes. He's just like, you're old enough to take care of yourself. You can go. And it's like, Dick!
Your first act as Bruce Wayne is to literally just fire Tim in the most dickish way.
Correct. He pulled a straight up Bruce.
Wow.
So then Tim goes on what is colloquially known as the Bruce quest to prove that he's not dead, after having a breakdown upstairs and seeing a painting of one of Bruce's ancestors and going, that's not an ancestor, that's just Bruce.
Yeah, the only person to figure it out, because everybody else thinks he's dead.
Yeah.
Only person to figure it out. And so Tim goes on what is, for him, a gritty quest where he kind of pushes some moral boundaries and he has to work with the League of Assassins for a bit. And also he loses his spleen. It's a whole thing.
Shit.
Who needs it, you know?
And
a semi-important organ.
Fun note of Tim, he's the only one to ever put down Lady Shiva.
Yes. That's one of the best things, in my opinion, is that Shiva is a recurring character in Tim's life. She turns up in his miniseries and she kills the guy he was learning from and then goes, oh, shit, I could teach you instead, I guess. And Tim's like, sure.
I always figured she had some type of like obsession with him after he defeated it, right? Like she needed to know more.
Well, she wants to die in battle, right? So her whole thing is she wants to find someone who can kill her. And I think she went Tim, maybe, after he grows up a bit. So she turns up every now and then to like fight him and kick his ass a little bit.
Yeah.
And one time she turns up and he takes a drug to get in contact with the Speed Force so she doesn't just straight up murder him. And then he accidentally kills her, has to resuscitate her, and then uses that later life debt to save Connor Hawk's life when she's going to kill him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Connor Hawk made in this lesson, huh? All right.
Yeah, we
And there is like New 52 and Rebirth content of Tim, but given that this is a Robin-centric discussion and he's only ever read Robin in those, and like it's up for debate whether he was Robin at all, and also sometimes that canon makes me very angry.
Hold on, time out. You always do this. You bring up some nice little tidbit. I'm just like, that freaking blows my mind. What do you mean the Robin thing may have not happened at all?
Oh, so because DC Rebirth and like New 52
in the New 52,
nonsense,
Batman
has only been Batman for 5 years.
Okay.
So how long was 52? Dick Grayson Robin? Then you have to fit the other Robins in, and then one of them doesn't make it because that's not enough time to feasibly make it, and Tim Drake gets the shaft.
Wow. So what they did was they made it so that in the New 52, at least, in the wake of Jason's death, Tim wasn't comfortable taking on the Robin mantle, so he takes on the Red Robin mantle instead. And then he's just never Robin. And they've sort of retconned that in Rebirth with a few specific panels harking back to some pre-boot stuff
Right.
like the dead father incident.
Right.
But that and the costume change where they made his Red Robin suit just a knockoff Robin suit, and then they've actually just given him a Robin costume for a while in Young Justice before they, did the thing with the
thing.
Bird.
Yeah.
That we shall not name.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So he was probably a Robin now again, but like it's not super strictly defined because DC hates Tim.
Wow. Wow.
DC hates Tim more than Dan DiDio hated Nightwing.
Yeah.
And that's something else. I don't know why are they doing Tim so wrong. What
I
did
don't
Tim
know,
do?
but like you tell us about Damian and then we can get into the real meat of this debate.
All right, so the crazy conception that is Damian Wayne.
Oh,
This all starts back in 1987 with a one-shot graphic novel, Batman, Son of the Demon, in which Grant Morrison went and retconned during his run. In the original story, however, Bruce continually perceived and bothered by Ra's al Ghul, pretty much coerced into having a night with Talia, and in having the immaculate conception as Damian Wayne. As Grant Morrison had put it, the greatest detective ninja in the world was given a date rape drug, which is kind of crazy. This is Bruce Wayne we're talking about. And Talia went and had her way and got herself pregnant.
I mean, there is a conception of the story in which they had like a normal relationship and Talia got pregnant and then lied about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll continue.
But
that's significantly less fun and less dramatic.
Yeah, but thanks to Grant Morrison, who fucked up the plot because he inserted that, not knowing it wasn't canon, and then he doubled down on it by mentioning it again, and so now it's stuck. So Ninja Detective got given the date rape drug. That's how Damian was born.
Someone roofied Batman.
Kind of nuts.
I hate to see it.
I wish it wouldn't have.
We don't see Damian for years after that. There is some Elseworld stuff that does mention, a version of Damian Wayne, not under that name. In our original universe here, we don't see Damian until about 2006 when he shows up in Batman number 655, which kicks off the whole Bruce Wayne is now the dad thing, which Talia pretty much dropped him off at the front door and said, "This is your kid. You take care of him now. I'm out.
This is yours. I'm leaving."
This is yours." So Damian comes in pretty hot and heavy, right? He comes in, it's news to everybody, right? Bruce has a son. This is legitimate. This is blood.
He already had a son. He has 3.
He's had 3. One's come back from the dead. And everything is nuts right now. Damian comes in pretty stacked, right? He's been given the advantage of being trained League of Shadows style.
He's got a cool looking sword.
But good old Al Ghul.
Grandpa Al Ghul.
Grandpa Al Ghul. He's got the right. Damian's that eugenics experiment, right? That's what Al Ghul was all about. That's what he wanted. He's dying for Bruce's genetics to have the perfect, I guess, sire or the next perfect body host. Damian was the one. And
shout out to that one time he tried to have his sister rape Tim to get his genetic material.
Crazy shit, huh? Yeah, pretty stacked. Had the advantage. Came in very arrogant, cocky, and self-centered. Precocious, if you want. A lot of confrontation. Had no respect for Dick Grayson. I guess knew nothing of Jason Todd and just had no love for Tim in the beginning.
Yeah, literally walked in and said, "This is my costume now."
Yeah, literally roasting the man as he lived under the same roof. Crazy shit.
Tim was like, "Hi, I'm going to try and shake your hand." And Damian was like, "What if I just punched you in the face instead?"
Well, here's the fun thing, right? There's only so much.
What if you tasted steel?
This is what I like about Tim too, because Tim's got this Donatello Ninja Turtle kind of quality to him, where he's, I don't want to say docile, but like you got to push his buttons for him to snap.
Yeah, he's
willing to give anyone a chance.
Yeah, and if he snaps, then it's not a good thing. No, the really kind guy who snaps, it's not a good thing. Like, why'd you
when
make
Tim
him do
Drake
it?
snaps, you get things like him going after Jason Todd with a crowbar.
Right? Damian pulled, another "I'm Robin, you're not" kind of joke, and Tim proceeded to beat the living piss out of this kid.
Jason was my brother. I do that too.
You're right. So that was the first step of putting Damian in his place. After all that League of Shadows training and such, and the perfect DNA, you still got your ass handed to you by one of the other proteges. Probably
some scrawny nerd with a stick.
Scrawny nerd. Yeah.
Some scrawny nerd.
My favorite scrawny nerd.
From there, after that, I think he started having when we lost Bruce, right, is when he started to kind of grow up a little bit. And still not the highest respect for Dick as Batman, but he started to work with him. The confrontation between him and Tim started to slow down and heat up and slow down over the years. Quarreling siblings. That's what it became. And
eventually, after a few more murder attempts.
Yeah.
He cut his jump line at one point.
Yeah, he did. The asshole. But again, Tim's that survivor that came back bouncing, right? And
the only Robin to never die.
Yeah, and he put Damien in his place after that. So after that, you really can't say you're the best Robin when you've been slapped around by the third one twice now.
Though I suppose, because I'm going to make this argument later,
Mhm.
you do have to give some sort of lenience to the fact that there is just an age difference. As in, like, Tim going up against Dick isn't a fair fight until they're both full-on adults. Because,
True enough.
yeah, if Dick is like 27, yeah, I fucking hope he could kick 17-year-old Tim's butt.
Right. I mean, well, with Damien, it's just like he has a killer's edge, right? Like he
Allegedly.
He doesn't mind doing it at that point. In a fair fight, he had the advantage of not being fair. But again, skill-wise, after all that super ninja training, you just couldn't beat him twice. And you couldn't take Dick either. So insert joke. So yeah, his evolution has turned from being that shitty kid to being sort of a shitty kid, but learning as he goes along. And becoming, I don't want to say humanized, but like to be, I guess the word sensitized, because to learn to have that sympathy in your acts of what you're doing. Yes, they're evil men, but you don't gotta kill them, right? We don't do the kill code here.
If only we can convince him not to put people in a secret evil prison under the tower.
That is another
Or
issue.
to not bring strange animals into the cave.
Those were all in good intentions. Okay.
Bat Cow can go away.
Damien's the only one to drive the fucking Batmobile.
I think Tim's driven it when Batman was incapacitated.
I mean, stole it and drove it.
And Nightwing
Potato.
was Batman, so got to drive it.
Yes, he did.
So no.
Jason just stole the tires. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he was too busy laying in his own grave to do anything.
Hey, I mean, he was a thug, so I mean.
And that's another interesting point, because Damien and Jason are the two that are most alike in so many ways that when they're secretly working together, it's kind of a scary duo to have. But it didn't last long because, like his father, man, very, very suspicious and pragmatic. And one slip up from Jason was enough for Damien to say, let's say, I'm cutting ties, right? Can't remember exactly what happened between the two of them, but there's something huge enough for Damien to just back away from the whole team up, which is crazy because Jason's, cut from the same cloth almost.
Also a really valuable ally to have when you're 12.
Yeah, true enough.
You're not even old enough to be part of the Teen Titans.
Oh yeah,
Teen
Titans.
And you're kind of forced on the team to learn to get along because, Jesus Christ, kid, you have no friends.
Can we remember that the first time Damien turns up on the Teen Titans, the Titans are still all Tim's friend, and they're all like, who the hell are you? Why are you wearing Tim's colors? Get out of our tower.
Yeah.
And Damien's like, no, I am Robin, and I am in charge now, and I am 12, and you will all listen to me. And they're all like, can we make him leave?
Right? Which is fun because, again, another point in time where Damien grew up and he came to realize that the team wanted Tim and didn't want him, and he made the conscious decision to leave the team and go back to working with Bruce full time. This time now willing to listen.
I mean, I think it was still Dick at that point.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think Batman or Bruce was still sort of dead.
I think you're right. Yeah. Sorry,
Maybe he was just in retirement for a little while.
Yeah. I'm crossing timelines here again myself. It was still.
There's a lot of timelines to cross.
Yeah, it was still Dick at the time, and yeah, he started listening more. Their cohesiveness worked better. And then when Bruce finally came back, right, like he was all for it. Damien this is the point in time where Damien wanted, right? He wanted to be with the daddy. So now it's the daddy-son team up. Learning on the road to not kill the enemy again. Big lesson, especially when you're working with Bruce, because that's Bruce's bread and butter, right? So here we are now. We're now with a kid who's got more of a chip on his shoulder, trying to prove himself amongst his peers that he kind of let down over the years, and build himself up to be a better. Well, he wants to be Batman, right? They all do, but Damien really wants it for some reason. It's that passing of the torch, the father-son connection. He wants it so.
Well, he still hasn't shaken all of his League of Assassins indoctrination. He still believes in things like bloodlines, and that as the blood son, it is his right to inherit that mantle. Yeah, which at this point, there's not actually a lot of competition because Dick has been Batman and didn't like being Batman and doesn't want to be Batman. Yeah. Jason definitely shouldn't be Batman.
Right.
Wrong kind of guy. Tim is terrified of being Batman because of that whole Titans of Tomorrow thing where he had to threaten to shoot himself to get evil future him to fuck off.
Right.
So,
and then evil future him came back and said, you become Batman and still become like Azrael.
Wow.
Yeah. Though, of course, I think that the real Batman inheritor should be Cass, because can you imagine Cassandra Cain as Batman?
I mean, hey, why not?
She'd be terrifying.
Between all of them, I mean, shit.
Between the
Since
R4.
Dick didn't, out of all, since Dick
Between
didn't want
R4.
anymore, like Damon and Jason are very shattered psyches. More Jason than Damon in anything, right? Damon we can still mold him. There's time.
Yeah,
we can fix him.
We can fix him. He can change.
You know, he leads a Teen Titans team, so he's already following in Dick's shadow. So he
Right.
might end up good enough to be okay.
And he had time with John Kent, where he became a little bit more human again, right? Like he was hang with
Nothing
the
would
kid.
humanize you more than someone who's literally not half human.
Exactly. But like just getting along with him and having that friend change Damien even more so. I like Damien on the fact that this is now a punk Bruce Wayne giving the main Bruce Wayne a hard fucking time. How does it feel, Bruce?
I think punk is the wrong word to use, but I see what you're going for.
You know what I mean? Like how do you feel about that, right? Like this is
I like when
the
he was
attitude
Robin and somebody else was Batman, because it kind of flipped the dynamic on its head, where it's a more serious Robin and a more lighthearted Batman.
Yeah.
Where when it's Damien and his dad, it's a little bit too angsty.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's angst.
Which is why it's great that like Duke stepped in to be Bruce's partner on occasion, because
Duke Thomas being
Duke isn't an angst machine.
Mm-hmm.
Duke is just like, I guess I have metahuman powers.
I don't know. I just like it because it's literally the father has to deal with the son, and this is literally again cut from the same cloth. The fruit of your loins is exactly
literally his mistake.
You're right.
Like Jason Todd might be his greatest mistake.
Right.
But like Damien is his mistake.
And now you got to deal with this, man. And it's mini you. How do you deal with mini you? Because like Bruce Wayne is already a problem for like 99% of the fucking world. And now you have to deal with a mini you who's going to be, just as smart and just as prepared as he is, right? If not even more so, because he has an edge of being prepared from early on.
I will say that for all that Damien is qualified for a lot of things and good at a lot of things, I don't think he's a good Robin.
Robin is. So let's get to that. Let's get to that discussion, because
we're here now. I like.
Yeah, we're here now.
It's time to have the actual debate we came here to have. We know who's on the table,
right? We know the deal. When it comes down to Robins, we got to talk about qualities here, right? Best partner. Scratch the word sidekick. Fuck that word. Right?
Give me a sec. I wrote a list of things that may or may not define the role of Robin, and hopefully we can go from there.
Sure.
So we've got hope, support, effectiveness, independence. And then from the mouths of these boys themselves, family, confidence, investigation, suffering, question mark? Because that was what Damien said being Robin was about.
Right.
During Robin Wars. And I am of the opinion that Tim embodies all of these traits.
Tim, go ahead. Yeah.
In that hope in dark times, that's literally what he's here for. Support and independence is that element you were just getting at of being a partner, but not being a sidekick.
That's it.
They're there to support Batman and to help fight crime, but they can also step off and go do their own stuff and go have their own problems, go solve their own cases, go to their own teams.
Which is where Nightwing really steps in, because not only did he leave Bruce's shadow and became his own man, but also received Bruce's blessing to do all of these things and still use part of his asset.
Yeah, still use the Batcave toys, right? The hard thing is, when you come down to this debate here, it's hard to place like someone like Jason in there. I feel like
Jason. Sorry, BC.
It's not his fault, but he just
never had. Like the thing is, for me, Jason was a product that came too early. People weren't ready for him. Because I mean, literally, you're reading about a shitty kid right now, right? Who literally is almost the same character as Jason Todd.
Yeah, all we just need him is to just die a couple times. Oh wait,
right. and that's happened like what, twice?
Yeah.
Someone like Jason didn't have the chance to give that growth from turning from a shit kid to probably a good Robin. You know what I mean? Like phone poll says
axed.
Yeah, phone poll says he get axed. So like, when it comes down to it, I don't know where we can place Jason as, right? Like
Jason was a fine Robin, but he was a fine Robin. He's definitely not the best Robin.
Again, and it's hard to say so because again, this is a character who just never got a chance to grow.
When you are stuck in the middle of what some people consider to be the best Robin, it's hard to escape the sandwich that you've put yourself in.
Yeah, there's shoes to fill.
Not only are you in the shadow of the person who came before, but now seeing your successor, there's barely a comparison to be made.
That's it. And for someone like Damien now, when it comes down to Robin, Robin's more of a passing mantle. This is not someone who cares to take up the R. This is someone who just uses the R.
He thinks he deserves it. He thinks the R belongs to him rightfully, right? And he can do whatever he wants with it. Whereas Tim was living up to it.
Exactly. Damien's just putting it on as a means to do what he's got to do with his father. It's not really like something that that he's really yearning for. It's not something that he wants to live up to. Like Tim wanted to live up the role of Robin and do something proud with it, right? Like continue the tradition if you want to get that far, right?
And Dick was honoring his parent.
Dick was honoring, and Dick wanted to do it, and at some point, Dick wanted to grow up, right? He wanted to get away from it,
right? And he took his time.
Something bigger.
And when he felt that he was ready, at 17, he became his own man.
That's it. And Nightwing was born. So when it comes down to the embodiment of Robin, I mean, Dick was the first one, and that's why he has that staple in time. And Jason has that story of the tragedies, and that's he has a staple in time. Damian has a staple in time because he's that shock value of it's Batman's son. But Tim lives the life of
like
Robin.
Anything you think of with that's associated with Robin that's not Pixie Boot, and wholly insert stupid joke here, Batman, it's Tim. It's always
I
Tim.
believe even Tim had the longest stint as a Robin.
Well, no, I think Dick was probably Robin for.
Oh yeah, he's for sure longest, but depending on
IRL?
what continuity you want.
You're following through on
If you're following the newest New 52 DC Rebirth,
didn't happen.
A handful of years max.
Right.
Because he got picked up at 16, and then a year, maybe 2 later, now he's Nightwing.
Strange. I don't like new continuity. It bothers me.
They fuck up all the timelines.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Or he's 21 and then he leaves, and then he's Nightwing the first time, and then he's 21 when he leaves and goes to Bloodhaven the first time.
Jesus.
Disco
all right.
Wing?
Disco Wing it is. I don't like continuity. It shifts because that shit kind of bothers me. The long-standing, storylines that we had to get these guys where they are with the new continuity just feels like flushing that out is a cheap shot.
That's what headcanon's for.
Exactly.
Well,
I don't like that.
What the big issue is that pre-boot, they put in so much work into developing relationships and bonds and story arcs to the point where like the world felt fleshed out and real and tied together really well. And then they rebooted everything and they didn't put in any of that groundwork anymore. And just expected that they could cash in on all of that old nostalgia. And it's
exactly.
Like, okay, don't get me wrong. I enjoy seeing stuff with like Tim and Jason hanging out and being buds because like that's kind of funny. Middle children syndrome,
Yeah.
But there is no basis for that pre-boot. The friendliest they ever got was one time they worked on a case together that Tim opened up by kicking Jason in the balls, and then that one time that Tim broke Jason out of prison. That's as friendly as they got.
Yeah.
And when
they
Batman
weren't cool.
summons them all, they all show up in the same room and they coexist nicely.
Yeah, baffling. Also, the idea that Jason would ever show up when Batman called.
Fuck.
He would send a note that says, fuck off.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
He would send the bullet and say, the next one's coming for your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, like, the whole idea of the Bat family is nice, but the closest we ever got to it in canon was during Tim's Robin run, in which he had Nightwing, he had Batman, he was on good terms with Huntress and Batgirl and Oracle and the Birds of Prey.
And see, this is and because of all of that connection, right? This is the reason why Damian was made, because we had a giant Bat family, but no Robins.
We had one Robin. It was the best Robin, and he was the nexus of everyone's relationships with each other.
But then he became Red Robin, and we lost a Robin.
He only became Red Robin because they forced Damian into the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they've ousted Tim, who was incredibly popular for this fucking kid.
I think I'm ready to vote.
There's not much more to go on it, right? Like Table said at one point, every modernization of Robin today is based off Tim. Hairstyle, costume style, attitude, everything is based off Tim. Period.
The Young Justice cartoon, they took his team name and applied it to Dick's team, despite the fact that in that show, Dick is basically a weird Tim ripoff, and then Tim doesn't get a personality.
And as what to say, Tim shows up, and then Tim is so like
he's a different person.
Boring, yeah. It's so weird. He has like Sans personality. He's just got nothing there.
Or in the New Adventures of Batman and Robin, where it's Robin, but it's basically Tim and Jason kind of spun together.
Pushed into one, yeah.
Yeah, Tayson Drawd, if you will.
Accepted.
It's truly bizarre how they treat Tim. I mean, outside of TAS, right? Like we didn't have any Tim inclusion in any other form of media, period, except for now.
Nope.
Like just in the
There's one weird showing of him as in a really ugly Red Robin costume in an animated thing.
Wait, could I be wrong? Did they not use him in Brave and the Bold?
I think that might be what I was thinking of.
I think they may have used him in Brave and the Bold. Yeah. I think he was.
Yeah, that sure would line up.
I think he was. And again, that show, they cycle through a whole roster, so it's not like you get much of Tim to begin with anyways, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm ready to call a vote.
I mean, who would be the best Robin of these
Yeah.
guys?
Drum roll,
like,
please.
no, just kidding. I would give it up to, honestly, Tim Drake.
Hey,
Yeah.
you've made the correct decision.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're not gonna murder you. Okay, good.
I love my
I
boy.
have also been convinced Tim Drake.
Yeah.
We've
I'm
had this debate before. I'm really
Yeah.
pleased to hear that.
I'm going on Tim because again, it's the points, right?
Mhm.
Jason was until he was killed, and that's what he's remembered for. And Dick was once, and then he wanted to evolve, and that's what he's remembered for. And Damien is there because plot convenience, right?
He's there because the writers say he has to be, and he's not allowed to come home till after 6.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
he's there because of drugging and
Drugging and too much fun. But like
Tim chose this life,
Tim chose this motherfucking life, man. He walked
and
through
he
that door.
paid for it.
Yeah, he knocked on the door and said, "Yo, bro, I know who you are. I know who this guy is, and you're gonna let me in on this, okay?"
I see
like,
you
I
and
understand
your
the
cat lady,
streets.
and I raise you actually doing your job.
Right? That's exactly it. So when it comes down to
No, you know what? I've been
living-
bringing. Hang on, no, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've been bringing up this cat lady thing. Starfire is descendant from cats.
I listen,
Yeah.
man. There's nothing wrong with that. You see how Starfire looks? That's fine.
She's 10 feet tall.
That's fine too. There ain't nothing wrong with that,
She could crush me.
bro. Wonder Woman's
Crush
Wonder Woman.
anyone.
Canon wise, Wonder Woman's taller than fucking Superman and Batman
Wow.
without heels.
Yeah,
Oh my-
yeah,
It's what she
can crush
deserves.
my head like a watermelon. Yeah.
We all
Okay,
the way we.
Tim Drake wins.
Tim Drake wins unanimous decision because the boy really was Robin and gets the shaft from
He
DC
deserves
because DC doesn't know what to do with their peeps, man.
Because they gave all of his personality and character traits away to the other Robins, and then we're left with this hollow outline and went, that seems unlikable.
And
I wonder why.
Dick's your favorite Robin, like period, or just favorite character of all time?
It's kind of both because that's who, like, that's what I was raised on, right?
I hear
when
ya.
it came to that Teen Titans show, that's
Yeah.
that Robin.
That's the
When-
one.
Mhm.
Oh, what character is it? It's Starfire who gets transported into the future. And we see an old Raven who's stuck with her dad, an old Cyborg that can't leave, an old Beast Boy who's old and fat and can barely transform. And then we see Robin. And Robin took his hero mantle and did something with it. He went further, he went above and beyond and continued working.
Yeah, Dick is that child, right? Like Bruce has said it repeatedly. If anybody would take over, it would be Grayson.
And as much as Dick hated doing it,
Yeah.
because his dad said so, he followed suit.
Dick is the epitome of a good child soldier.
That's
He
it.
was told to be Robin. He was told to be Batman, and he was Batman. As much as he
He
didn't
did
want
a
to do
great
it,
job.
Yeah,
and he took on a Robin, and he did exactly what he was told until his dad came back.
and yeah, we know Beastie likes the Jason Todd because that's the evolution to Red Hood.
Yes.
Red Hood is
Right?
cool.
Red
And
Hood's
that
cool.
movie is fantastic.
Yeah,
Red Hood is the gun throttling boy of Batman, and
and we know Table likes Tim because again, Tim is that. We put in Tim on the top pedestal here.
He is our homeboy.
Yeah, he gets to have the champagne and the gold medals. He gets everything, right? He stands up there.
Not
Okay?
in the comics,
Only
but
time
in
he gets it.
this show,
Not in the comics, but in fans' hearts.
Yeah,
Fans'
in
hearts.
In the
So,
comics,
no.
he's still Drake.
Right, and kill everything.
are we gonna go there? Are we gonna go into separate ideas?
No,
We got a
we're
little
just.
time left.
I've,
Oh,
I had to
no.
say it once.
Hold
We
on,
can-
hold on, because I'm just gonna say I like Damien for the fact that we're pissing off Daddy with a copy of himself, and he's got to deal with that. But Table, please take us out with the Drake debacle, please.
No, you know what? Hang on.
Please.
Main table for the next little bit.
Go
It is
ahead.
Rick Grayson versus Drake.
Go, please.
Oh,
I'm
God.
listening.
Okay,
And
look.
cue.
When the fuck did Tim have the time for a costume change in the middle of a fight between issues? One issue, he ends in his cool new Robin outfit that we're like, yeah, that's a good callback to like his old uniform and it looks great. And then in the next issue, he's dressed in this like turd bird outfit with a rocket launcher for some goddamn reason. We don't know where he got the rocket launcher. We don't know where he got the costume. We don't know why he bothered. Who cares? And like,
Please tell us
the most
the-
dangerous bird.
the-
Oh,
the-
yeah?
yes.
A duck?
Please tell us the name origin and how that happened.
So in this alternate universe, the other version of him is both ginger and evil and is
Because
like, oh, I don't go by Robin, I go by Drake because it's the most dangerous bird and it's very stupid. And then Tim changes costumes like, I'm also Drake, the most dangerous bird. Let's fight. And it's very stupid.
Oh man. All right. So we know the Drake debacle. Please, Red.
Rick Grayson. So Nightwing is out doing patrol in Bloodhaven, gets hit in the head once or a handful of times, forgets who he is, remembers Grayson, but can't quite pull Dick, so he pulls Rick. This tiger dude thinks he can help him, but doesn't. He then shaves his head, goes to be a pole shark, and then kicks crap out of people.
Okay. How did we get him back?
He gets hit in the head again.
Oh boy.
Just a quick little bonk on the head.
I mean, I'm pretty sure something, I think it's an I-beam or something just like lands on this guy.
Did he
Or
not
gets
also
shot
become
again, hospitalized, but
Did he not
whatever.
also become a cab driver or some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's
Listen, and
Avengers
I
meeting
right
when-
here, right at the end, we've got
Mhm.
Stephanie Brown, we've got Carrie Kelly, and
Mm-hmm.
we've got another successor that nobody seemed to have mentioned, Terry McGinnis.
Hey,
But he
I
doesn't
don't-
spend any time as Robin.
I can't call him a
Brother
Robin.
Matt McGinnis.
Oh, that's a future I want.
So those three, maybe we come back to the Robin and we take those three Robins or those
Oh.
three successors.
Not before we handle the best Batgirl debacle too.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
There
we
is a
could do
right
it
answer to
that way.
that one too.
There is a
Mhm.
right answer, and whatever answer table has, it's wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's
will
only-
fight you.
There's only one logical answer to this, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Cassandra Cain.
Yes, correct. Cassandra Cain is the best Batgirl.
Come on, there's.
I mean, you're wrong. It's Barbara Gordon, but whatever.
what do you mean, dude?
No.
She's only good as Oracle. What are you talking about?
We clearly have a discussion topic for another day. I believe on this. BC, can you give us our outro?
Please.
I shall, I guess. Okay, so you can reach us on our social medias. For Twitter, it's at Crusade Nerd. Instagram is at Nerd Crusade, and we also upload every Wednesday to YouTube. And you can download any previous episodes or listen on your mobile device to Anchor.fm or Spotify app by searching Nerd Crusade.
Right on. Cassandra Cain is the best Batgirl, and that's to be continued.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this issue, go ahead and button mash the thumbs up. If you want to swing by when we have a new video, web up the subscribe button on YouTube or anywhere you can to listen to our podcast. And to be updated to know when a new issue is out, hit the bell to be notified by